Welcome to the deep dive. So we've gone through your sources, especially those bits from Fiendish Deeds, and wow, it's quite a story. We're jumping into this really bizarre conflict between two towns.
It really is. You've got Spooking, described as the terrible town on the hideous hill.
Catchy name.
Right. All gothic, kind of decaying, misty, you know, atmospheric. And then there's Darlington, totally the opposite. Modern, neat, very bright.
Yeah, vinyl siding everywhere, probably.
Exactly. And this isn't just like a zoning dispute. We're really digging into how these fundamentally different ways of seeing the world clashed. You know, mystery and decay versus, well, tidiness.
And our mission today, to figure out how this one kid, Joy Wells, she's only 11, how she uses, old horror stories, a bog, and a phone call to stop this huge development project led by Darlington's mayor, Mayor MacBrayne.
It's quite the David and Goliath story, but with carnivorous plants.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The sources really emphasize the geography, because the land itself is like the core of the fight. Spooking is crumbling, but the people there kind of like it that way. They appreciate the tangled arboretum, the old cemetery.
Yeah, the old sorrows, as the book calls them. But if you're from Darlington and Darling, you look at Spooking and just see mess, neglect, dysfunction maybe.
They want their neat rows, the shiny roofs, those sprinklers going snicker-snack. Predictable.
Totally. Spooking is everything they've tried to get rid of. It's messy, it's old, it's maybe a little bit spooky.
And this brings us to Joy Wells. She lives in Spooking, and she actually likes the vibe, like how the cold, howling wind makes a roaring fire feel extra cozy.
Right. Her mom's an existential philosopher, apparently, so maybe that's where she gets it, that sense of authenticity.
But Mayor MacBrayne, he doesn't see authenticity. He sees wasted space, an opportunity.
His big idea, make Darlington really cool. And how do you do that?
Let me guess. A water park.
Bingo. The Misty Mermaid Water Park. A huge multi-million-dollar project. Tourists, jobs, national attention, the works.
And the perfect spot for this plastic palace.
Spooking Bog.
Naturally.
Ah, the bog. Described as a black buzzing bog. A neglected mess. Sounds lovely.
Well, yeah, to the Darlings, it's just swampy wasteland. But to Joy, it's special. It's got life. Real weird life. Like, Ernesto the snapping turtle.
The 75-pounder. Okay, that's substantial.
Right. So the bog is basically the whole conflict in miniature. Darlington sees useless land needing pavement. Joy sees this unique, wild place.
And the water park is just an obscenity upon nature to her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For Joy, it wasn't about property values or anything. It was about saving the soul of her town, the very feel of it.
Okay, so this is where it takes a turn.
Right.
Because Joy's plan A isn't lawyers or petitions, it's horror fiction.
Yeah, it gets wonderfully weird here. Her big inspiration is this writer, Ethan Alphen Peugeot, EAP. She got his collected works from,
A mummified centenarian, Mrs. Ott.
That's the one. You can't make this stuff up. So what does EAP have to do with saving a bog?
Well, Joy actually solves this old mystery about a detective, Snake Buckner, who was looking for EAP ages ago and vanished.
Okay.
Joy figures out this cryptic telegram location, SPKG, actually meant spooking, which means EAP didn't just write about spooky places. He lived and vanished in Spooking.
So the town is the actual setting for his scary stories, like the Ball of the Bog theme.
Exactly, which is cool, gives the town some, creepy literary cred. But like you said, that doesn't stop a bulldozer.
Right. Bragging rights don't equal protected status. So how does she weaponize this?
This is where she gets really clever. She uses the fiction, the idea of the bog fiend, as bait. She calls FISPA, that's the Federal Imperiled Species Protection Agency.
Ah, the feds. Okay.
And she doesn't say, hey, there's a big turtle here. No, she goes full EAP. Reports a flesh-eating fiend of incredible size.
She quoted the horror story to a federal agency. Bold move.
She knew she needed something dramatic to cut through the bureaucracy, right? Get their attention.
But hang on. Does this mean imagination is more important than knowledge? Because it sounds like the horror story got them there, but facts saved the day in the end.
That's exactly the point. It's nuanced. Imagination opened the door, but science walked through it. See, the FISPA agent, Wagner, he'd already kind of dismissed the site.
Right.
But when Joy mentioned this local naturalist, Dr. Ludwig Zweig, Madame Portia's late husband, that piqued Wagner's interest.
And Vi had done research on the bog.
Yeah, research everyone thought was lost. But because of Joy's call, this packet of Zweig's notes turns up on Wagner's desk. He follows the coordinates Zweig left.
And finds, don't tell me, the bog fiend.
Almost better. He finds this large carnivorous pitcher plant, totally new species, apparently. Sarracenia swag, named after
A
Ludwig.
flesh-eating plant. Seriously.
Well, insect-eating, mostly. But it was unique to that one spot in Spooking Bog, and because it was newly identified and only found there, bingo, FISPA had to declare it an imperiled species.
Wow. So construction halted, bog reclassified as a conservation area, $1 million fines if anyone messes with it.
Yep. Mayor MacBrayne's multi-million-dollar water park dream. Defeated by a plant that eats flies.
Incredible. So back to the imagination versus knowledge thing.
It shows how they work together, right? Joy's imagination, her belief that the bog was special, that drove her to make the connections EAP, ZWAG, FISPA, and that imaginative leap allowed the factual scientific discovery to happen.
So her mom's philosophy kind of checks out. If your imagination is strong enough to guide your actions and connect you to the right facts, it can change reality.
Or at least save a bog from becoming a water slide.
But it wasn't a clean win. There was pushback. Specifically from this guy, Octavio Phipps, the mayor's assistant.
Oh, yeah, Phipps. He's a piece of work. A local guy, apparently a former punk rocker.
Really?
Yeah. And he just hated spooking. Saw it as this, curse on his family, tied to their old rundown violin shop, the Luthier Lorenzo place.
So destroying spooking was, personal for him. Breaking the curse.
Seems like it. He was desperate. And his first target was Madame Porchezweig.
Ludwig's widow. The one living in the bog.
In a moss-covered submarine house on stilts, no less.
Of course she does.
So Phipps goes out there, tries to scare her off, tells her it's not safe here, trying to intimidate her into leaving.
How does she react?
She's pure spooking. Tough, eccentric, and surprisingly well-versed in legal dramas.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she apparently learned about law from watching the Justice Network. She hits him with squatters' rights, adverse possession.
Huh. Okay, break that down for us. How did TV law help her here?
Well, adverse possession basically means if you live somewhere openly, continuously for a really long time, and the actual owner never kicks you out, eventually you might get legal rights to the place.
So she told Phipps.
Pretty much. We've been here for ages in our weird stilt house. You never objected. Now good luck proving this isn't basically ours. See you in court eventually.
Which is a massive problem if you're on a tight deadline for a water park and facing federal fines.
Exactly. It must have driven Phipps nuts, which leads to the climax on Halloween night of all time.
What does he do?
He completely snaps. He and this accomplice, Vince, they sneak out to the bog with a power saw. Yeah. And they start cutting through the stilts supporting Portia's house, trying to sink it into the muck.
That's drastic. Does it work?
The house starts sinking, yeah. But the whole thing goes sideways spectacularly. First, Joy and her friend Byron are nearby, trick-or-treating. They see the aftermath.
Right.
Then, kind of randomly, a school bus hits Phipps's parked car near the bog.
A school bus?
Right.
On Halloween?
Right. So the police show up for this minor traffic accident, and while they're sorting that out, and Portia makes her escape through a scuba tube.
Scuba tube, of course.
And they find something else in the creek.
Oh no, not Vince.
An arm. An adult male arm floating in the water, tattooed with "Live Hard" and an ace of spades.
That's gotta be Vince, his accomplice.
Looks like it. Maybe he was in a wetsuit helping cut the stilts. Something went wrong. Who knows? But suddenly, Phipps isn't just facing environmental charges. He's got a broken arm from trying to flee, his car's wrecked, and there's a body part connected to his sabotage attempt.
So the whole plan just implodes. The water park is dead. MacBrayne's reputation is probably shot.
And Phipps, the guy who wanted to erase spooking to escape his family legacy. He ends up totally broke, possibly facing serious charges, and forced to move back into the derelict Luthier Lorenzo shop, right back in the heart of the place he hated.
The irony is just chef's kiss. Perfect spooking ending for him.
Couldn't have written it better.
So let's wrap up. What happens to everyone? Madame Portia. She got out okay through the scuba tube.
She did. Total survivor, classic spooking resilience. And she's not just surviving, she's leaning in.
How so?
She bought property right next door to the spooking asylum.
Naturally.
And she's opening a retirement home for eccentrics called the Happy Fates Retirement Estate.
You are kidding me. That's amazing.
Isn't it? So spooking isn't just saved, it's kind of thriving in its own weird way. It's attracting attention, new residents like Portia, this new gravedigger Hamilton.
And it's got federal protection now, thanks to the plant.
Exactly. The town won. Its unique, kind of messy identity was validated scientifically and culturally. And Phipps, the guy who only valued shiny new things, he's now literally trapped by the decay he despised.
And so for you listening, the big takeaway here seems to be about, well, passionate persistence, maybe. Joy's love for her town, her EAP obsessed.
God, imagination. Yeah, it allowed her to connect the dots, find the right piece of factual knowledge, the swag research, and then use the system, FISPA, to protect what she loved. It defeated money, politics, everything.
It really backs up her mom's philosophical question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can reality be shaped by imagination?
In this case, yeah. If your imagination is focused enough to drive action and hook into the right facts, it seems it absolutely can change the world. Or, at least stop a water park.
And poor Joy. Now she has 2 real-life disappearances to think about while reading EAP. The author himself and Vince the henchman. Or at least most of them.
Which leads us to a final thought for you. The bog is safe now, federally protected. But that raises a tricky question. What's the best next step to protect a place whose value comes from it being mysterious, decaying, maybe even a little bit secret? How do you preserve the mystery itself without, cleaning it up or turning it into some kind of spooky bog heritage site tourist traps?
That's a tough one. How do you protect unknowability?
Exactly.
Right.
Something to think about.